In this video, I want to actually finish off these funnels and get them installed. So thanks to Jim, one of my viewers, who reminded me about the eye bolts for the cable stays. I've got to do them now. It would have been easier to do it while it was still unpainted enough. So for the eye bolts or ring bolts, Pontos don't supply anything, but KA Models supply this plate here, which you fold up into this here. I'm not too keen on them, just because of the flatness of them. And also, we've only got a thin photo edge to glue to the finished model, which I don't know how secure it's going to be. So I want to have a proper eye bolt. Now you do get commercial ones, such as this one made from copper. That's from a wooden ship kit I was building. It's far too large, but it's a correct shape. So I want to replicate that. So I did do a proof of concept here, and hopefully you can see that. The actual diameter of the ring isn't much greater than the photo etch part, but we do have this like tail here to secure into a drill hole in the side of the funnel. So let's have a look and see if I can consistently make these. Okay. So I'm going to use 0.3mm brass wire. Now ideally 0.2 would be better, but I don't have any more 0.2 and I don't have any 0.2 drills, so I'll use a 0.3. I do have 0.1 and I can make them actually a lot smaller, but again I have no way to drill into the plastic to secure them, so 0.3 it is. So the wire is quite brittle in its current state. If you do a tight bend, it will snap, so we need to anneal it using a gas torch. And then due to the discoloration, I like to just run it through some fine sandpaper, just a few passes. It just removes all of the surface oxidation. Okay, so the next step is we need to form the eye. So I'm going to use a 0.5mm drill just held in the pin vise. Now for the 0.15mm wire, I can go down to a 0.3 drill, but that's going to be too much for the larger wire. So we'll just grip it against the pin vise and we'll just wrap it once around the drill. Okay, I'll take off. So hopefully we can see the loops formed, but it's in the wrong shape because it's coming off at a tangent. It needs to come off perpendicular. So what we'll do is we'll try and hold this securely down, and then we'll come in and bend the wire to come off at the right angles to the loop. Hopefully that's a lot clearer. But of course now it's you've got an overlap here, so we need to remove that. I'll just get rid of the excess, just to make it a bit easier to manhandle. Okay, so as you can see, we've still left a bit of a tail on it, and that's what we need to remove. I'll turn it this way for ease. So what we want to do is remove the excess. It goes under the first part of the loop. So we can try and trim it just here. Okay. Okay, so we'll just get the pliers. We'll just get the tweezers and just put it into the same level. I can bend that back slightly. And hopefully you can see that's the eye formed. Bit of overlap there, so I never trimmed it enough. Okay, and we just want to get the tail to be perpendicular, and we can use the tweezers to straighten up the tail a bit. I didn't actually trim the tail enough in this one, because as you can see where it comes off, or hopefully you can see where it comes off, is just a wee bit too far, but we'll run with it anyway. Okay, so as usual, solder this up, and we'll just apply some solder paste just to the very joint itself, and then we'll apply the heat. Doesn't look too bad. We can just straighten everything up with the tweezers. Not the best, the angle should be more this side. I'll just go to production run and make a number and then just pick the best ones. And then we just trim it. Okay. I've planned that I need 12 for each side, for each funnel. So I need to make 24 of these. So I'll go off and just make a number of them and then we can come back. I'll show you an alternative way of making them. So we start off the same with the same annealed wire. We hold it down and then we wrap it multiple times around the drill bit, keeping it as tight as you can. And then you end up with what looks like a spring. And again, we'll just trim off the excess for ease. Now what we do now is we just hold it down onto the block. And then if we come in with the knife point and go inside this, and go inside the spring and cut. That first one is incorrect because it's not fully formed. But we can just work our way in. And just cutting one of the wires at a time. Sorry, I can't see much, but I need to keep a pressure on the wire. You just keep working your way along inside the spring, cutting each one. I'll do a couple more. So you just keep doing that and you end up a series of little rings. Of course, they've got a twist on it because they were wrapped up against each other. So we just get the tweezers and we can just squeeze the ends together. And you can actually just close up. You have to be gentle because they're going to ping off, but you can actually just close the loop a wee bit by squeezing on the sides. So the attrition rate of these is quite high. Again, we'll just squeeze it together. That's not too bad. So before I lose any more, the next step is to put them onto this masking tape. It's upside down, so you've got a sticky surface. That one's not fully closed. And the straight part of wire, I've kind of put in the gap, so hopefully you can see that. That should be secure enough to put the paste on now. And we've got all surfaces touching each other. So maybe if I touch just the leg, I'm not going to disturb the eye. There we go. As you can see, there's no paste went to the back side, but the front side's done. So hopefully I'm able to just give it a bit of a pinch just to straighten it. And there we go. So that's actually a quicker method. A bit hit or miss compared to the other one, but I think I'll go with this because I can have multiple ones all lined up ready and then just touch them with the iron as we go. So that's the method I'll go with, the second method. Okay, so with the eye bolts all formed and painted, we now need to determine their locations. What I'd settled on was 2 rows and 3 per side. So it just turns out that the Pontos bracing is the positions I'd want. So the 90 degrees, the 45 on each side, not putting anything in fore and aft. And that kind of works in the same as the funnel cap as well. If I'd thought about it, I could have actually soldered the rings onto the correct positions. But as it turns out, I never thought. So for heights, looking at the plans, they're almost in line with the top of the steam pipe. So I'm going to make them 6mm down. And then the lower one is slightly up from the brace. And I've worked out to be 26. So because the bracing is in the plate in the same line, I'll just hold them to the inside on the 2 outer ones, and the center one I'll just hold it to the front. So what I've done is I've just cut up some strips of tape with the dimensions I'm going to cut, because I'm going to use this ridge here at the top as my datum. and I'll mark them all up. But hopefully you can see I've made a mark there at the 6mm, and that's where I'll drill my hole. Okay, so I can mark that. And then at the end of the tapes, the location for the bottom one. And I'll mark this using a needle. Okay, so all the holes or locations are marked. Now we'll come in with a 0.3 drill. So we just need to take our time here. So any drill bit I've got this size, I don't want to overdo it and snap it. Okay, you get the idea anyway. I'll do this off camera because it's a bit tricky trying to... Okay, I'll come back once I've drilled out the holes. Okay, so that's the mounting holes done. Now, I initially drilled them out with 0.3 and the bare brass wire slid in very nicely at that size. Because of the paint, they become very tight, so I've just opened the holes up to 0.35. So we'll just insert them now. And just leave them overhanging a wee bit until we get some glue on them. So I'm just going to use some thin CA glue. You have to be very careful where you hold it so you don't damage anything. So that's the top ring of the first funnel done. Just looking at the scale of them, I think they're well over scale still. I thought they looked small when you're making them. In real life, these ring bolts would probably be about the size of my hand. If you scale this up, it's probably about the size of my head. But that's the best I can do with what I've got in hand, so I'll get the rest of these glued in and then we'll come back. Okay, so that's all the eyebolts done on both funnels. So we'll get them installed now onto the deck. So as usual for these large assemblies, I'll usually contact a professional and I'll just apply it with a toothpick. I'm going to start with the rear funnel first. Now we've got a fair bit of overlap here with the funnel base, so don't have to be too precise with the glue. Just checking all around, it looks pretty level. So same deal for the 4. Okay, that looks pretty good. So the next thing we'll do is we'll move on to the ladders at the front here. So we'll install the ladders now. There's 3 to do. The main one being from the platform down to that box there. Now, for the ladder to be fully secure in the box, it needs to be hard over to this rail here. And the Pontos plans actually show that. So I don't know why they didn't increase the length of that box so it was in the centre, or made the handrails longer on one side, because you're going to have a bit of a gap there. But we'll install it as per the plans. So the top of the ladder actually sits underneath the platform. So I'm just going to apply some crystal clear to that top sections there. And then keeping it to one side. And then using a moist brush, we can just take off a little excess there. And then the next ladder we'll install is this small one here. So this one's got the 4 rungs, so that goes underneath the steps of the other ladder, okay? And again, I'll just apply little bits of crystal clear to the underside of that prongs. A little bit of chipped paint there, but we can fix that. And then the last ladder goes up here. And again, we'll just glue the ends of the horns. Looking at the Pontos instructions, it sits center to that pipe there, so that's where I've put it. We'll just fix that chipped paint now while we're work on. Okay, so that's the final finish now. It's good to get it on. Makes such a difference to the shape